Hello, good morning, everyone. I know it looks like it's Jen Sharon talking, but it actually is Ryan Garst, the Senior Director of Clinical Services for NHIA. Talked to many of you before, so good morning, welcome. Jen's not with us today, so I'm taking over the hosting detail. And we also have Bill Noyes on the line, who's our Senior Vice President for Reimbursement. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Today is going to be relatively short. So if you have any of those questions, just please feel free to start popping those in the question box right now, because we just have a few things that we're going to go over, and some of it's going to be repetitive from last week, but we felt that it was important to reiterate some of those key points. So here's just our brief agenda. We're going to go over some dashboard overview and update, so where we're at with some of the pilot and how things are going. And then also just I threw in the slides for the reminder for the updated EUA that we did go over last week, but that is new. So just to give you some updates, our total doses infused are 309. We've done this in 16 states and 48 cities, with 79% of those doses being infused with the population less than 100,000. This statistic right here, the 16 states, 48 cities with 79% under 100,000. HHS was absolutely excited and very, very happy with this, because one of the missions of this pilot was to get into populations that were underserved or rural, or didn't have typically the access that a more urban location would to the medication. So really, that's a kudos to all of you for doing this outreach and getting information out and getting doses infused in these locations. Next week, also on the echo calls, if you haven't joined them, they're very informative. It's a partnership between the University of New Mexico and HHS, where you actually can get CE credit for it as well. And they're more clinical in nature. But the link here is to register, and they have them every week on Wednesdays at 12 noon Eastern. And next week, we're actually going to be having one of our pilot participants featured. They reached out and had an idea and asked if a provider would be interested. And so they will be discussing, the main topic for next week is achieving speed and scale. Again, so this is going to be discussing sort of how this organization was able to do outreach and start infusing, and has done a really nice job with infusing drug. So that'll be Delta Medical, that's in Arkansas. So if you have a chance, join and register for these calls. They're very, very good. A lot of good information. So if you haven't done that, I would highly encourage you to do that. If you can attend, they do record them. So they are posted on the HHS website as well. And then I just wanted to toss in two slides again from last week that were regarding the EUA updates for Bamlanivimab. They had 3 areas of change: the dose preparation and administration, hypersensitivity, as well as the clinical worsening after the administration. So hypersensitivity, again, was they added some cardiac symptoms there. You can see those. And then clinical worsening was, again, cardiac events, altered mental status. And again, there was a caveat that they were not 100% sure if those were related to the Bamlanivimab or not. So they did update those. And then this is really, to me, one of the nuts and bolts pieces, is they are reducing the infusion time. On the stakeholder call this week, Lilly is getting the clinical information together, and that will be published very soon. So as soon as I see that, or if anyone else sees it, please, let me know, and I'll let you all know, because some of the questions that we had and have come in over the last week, and a lot of people across the country are asking, where is the clinical data to support the infusion time? And one of the things that they did mention on this week's call was they were doing doses of up to 7,000 milligrams over 60 minutes. So if you look at the BLAZE-1 trial, there was 3 different treatment arms. There was the 700 milligram dose, and then an intermediary dose, and then this high dose. And so they ended up going with the lowest dose of 700 because when they looked at the 3 treatment groups, surprisingly, actually, the middle dose had the best reduction in viral load, but however, they went with the lower dose. And so they're making some extrapolation here over that, but at the same token, they haven't published that data yet, and that's coming very, very soon, according to Lilly. So as soon as we see any of that, just some of that backing clinical data on this reduced infusion time, we'll get that out to you and also post it. Again, if you are reporting your clinical data to us, thank you again. Please do note that on the data collection tool that we are asking for the infusion time now, just to take a look at whether or not there is any type of correlation between an increase in adverse drug events and infusion time. So just keep that in mind if you are reporting that clinical data. And thank you for those that are. It's been really, really impactful, this clinical data. We've used it with the conversations with HHS and the FDA and CMS at the association level. And they're very, very impressed with the data. So it's really pushing a lot of our advocacy towards what we're trying to accomplish with increased reimbursement in the home setting. We're also working with Duke Margolis, and which is a large think tank, and had really good interactions and meetings with them. And we will be publishing some of the clinical data very shortly on our website, so you'll be able to see that more transparently and things like that. So just keep an eye out for all that stuff that's coming. And Bill, I'll turn over to you for just some quick reminders for reimbursement.
Sure. Thanks, Ryan. This is really just a review of a couple things I've brought up the last couple weeks. If you are enrolled as a mass immunizer, you need to utilize place of service 60 when billing for COVID treatments. So regardless of the site of care where the drug is actually administered, you use place of service 60, which identifies mass immunizer. If you utilize the actual place of service, you will get a denial. This came to our attention through a member participating in the program that reached out with a denial they thought was odd. I worked through channels at CMS to get in touch with the specific MAC, who pointed me to the reference in the internet-only manual regarding this place of service 60. So we've shared it with all those enrolled the last few weeks. If you are having denial issues, I ask that you reach out to me. My email address is here, and we're happy to work through those channels. It's really helpful, not just for that specific member that's having an issue, but oftentimes it's really helpful to work through those issues with one and share it with the larger group. Next slide. Just some of the rules of the road when it comes to billing for these treatments. It's different than other treatments, or it's different than the norm for home infusion providers. They're billed to the AB MAC. You must be enrolled as a pharmacy with the AB MAC, not with the DME MAC, with the AB MAC, or as a mass immunizer. There is a hotline method to enroll as a mass immunizer in short order. And there's a few other reminders here. I think everybody is pretty familiar with these, but if you have questions, feel free to reach out to me. There's a link at the bottom to a one-pager, or I think it's a two-pager, that really outlines the various MACs and the rules of billing for these monoclonal antibodies, which are under the COVID-19 vaccine billing rules. Next slide. Is a link, a number of various links to different resources you may find helpful, from enrollment to the codes and rates or allowables for those codes. Next slide. Yeah, I just wanted to really reiterate that if you're having any claims processing issues, we're happy to help work through those channels at CMS. Here's my contact info. Since I put these slides together, I got a notice from one of the MACs that they're having a webinar on billing for COVID vaccine that goes through coverage, coding, billing guidelines. I'm thinking that will also include monoclonal antibodies, though they don't specify. On next week's call, I'll provide an update with links to register. The one that I saw is for National Government Services being broadcast on the 16th. So it's a couple weeks out. So I'm going to look into the other MACs to see if they're having similar learning opportunities and just consolidate that, get it out on next week's call. I think that's all I had, Ryan.
Yep. Well, thanks, Bill. Again, just a reminder that the handouts are posted here, the slides, if you need them in a PDF. And I don't see any questions at this point. So if there's any questions, pop those into the question box really quick. Otherwise, this one was a short one today. There wasn't too much that was going on in the last week with the BAM pilot. So just wanted to say thank you again to everyone that is participating. We're looking forward to continue to work with you, and we'll keep you updated with anything that changes along the way. So any questions before we call it? I don't see anything coming through. Well, if you have any questions, you know how to get a hold of us. Please do, and we'll wrap up and have a wonderful weekend. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.